Call the meeting to order. The hits keep coming. Ta-da! Yeah. Okay, season's greetings, everyone. Welcome to the regular council meeting of December 9th, 2025. A couple of reminders for today's meeting. Members of the media may sit in the upper balcony at the reserved media table. All other guests, please take a seat in the first floor gallery. If that is full, there is overflow seating on the second floor in the Victoria Room where you'll be able to see and hear the meeting. We live stream the meeting on your YouTube channel, and the recording is available after the meeting. This meeting is also broadcast on Broadcast Live on your TV, Cogeco Subscribers Channel 10, HD Channel 700, and rebroadcasted on Wednesday at 9 a.m. and on Saturday at noon. Because meetings are accessible to the public in all these ways, video or audio recordings by members of the public is not permitted in the council chambers. This is to ensure that all attendees and those who come to make a deputation feel at ease. Thank you for your cooperation. I ask everyone to rise for O Canada.
The true north, strong and free, from far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
We'll now have a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Councillor Joyce, I believe you have the adoption of the open session agenda.
I do, Mr. Mayor, and this agenda, moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Charlie McDonald, that this agenda for the open session of the regular council meeting of Tuesday, December 9th, 2025 be adopted as circulated.
Thank you. Any comments, changes? Seeing none, all in favor? And that passes. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest on anything on today's agenda? Councillor Doble.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I declare a conflict on items 8.1, 8.2, and 13.1.3.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
We'll be declaring pecuniary interest on 13.1.2.
Thank you. We'll also do it when we get to the consent agenda, okay? Moving on, notices and information from members of council. Councillor Warren.
Thank you. I'm in Ottawa and attending the Great Lakes Forum. There are many initiatives happening to keep this, the largest water body in the world, safe and healthy, and it's been quite a interesting little convention. Closer to home, this coming Saturday is the Bob Cajun Santa Claus Parade at 5 o'clock, and I'm inviting everybody to attend. The mayor will be joining in the fun as well. I want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Yeo.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I too would like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and happy holiday season. And Coboconk had their parade on Sunday, and it was very festive out with the snow and the slush. But it was a good parade, well attended. And I'd just like to let everybody know that December 13th and 14th in Coboconk, you can go to the Saucy Willow Inn, and they're having a big Christmas market there, so you can get your last minute stocking stuffers and some gifts, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place to hold it. So join us at the Saucy Willow in Coboconk. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you resurrect your little car for the parade?
Sadly, my little car is lower to the ground. It's almost in the ground.
Councillor Perry.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And tis the season, of course, across Kawartha Lakes, but especially in Ward 3. We had a wonderful Santa Day, and I want to be sure that we thank all of the members of the Santa Day Committee, the local businesses, all of the volunteers and sponsors for a free-of-charge, fun-filled day for the whole family. I've heard nothing but rave reviews, especially about this year's parade. So I want to make sure we commend yet again Santa Day in Fenelon Falls. Not to be left out, of course, on Sunday morning, Southview Estates in Cameron had a wonderful Santa breakfast at the New Horizons Community Club there with gifts and pancakes. It was a wonderful time for all families and adults and children. And last but not least, we had the Fenelon Falls Seniors Club enjoying and celebrating as well with a breakfast for Santa. So there have been wonderful commemorations of the season across the ward and the city, I know. So I want to wish the best of the festive seasons to all. For my family and I, that is Merry Christmas, and thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Ash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to thank the Omemee Lions and the Omemee Lions Santa Claus Parade. Last Saturday was a tremendous success, and the night before, the tree lighting at the Coronation Hall. And certainly shout out to all the sponsors and volunteers and participants of that Omemee Lions Santa Claus Parade. Also like to thank the community of Victoria Place, just south of Bob Cajun, for their generous donations and work in the toy drive. It's sponsored by the Kinsman Club of the Lindsay chapter, so they've done a tremendous amount of work. I wanted to thank them too, and they've also contributed to the food bank of Bob Cajun as well. And finally, this Sunday, December 21st at 12:45 p.m., the annual Dunsford Lions Santa Claus Parade will be held in Dunsford. It starts at the Dunsford District Elementary School and will end at the Dunsford Community Center, and there'll be many activities at the conclusion of the parade to cap it all off. So a visit with Santa, and it'll be an excellent day for the Dunsford Lions Santa Claus Parade on Sunday, December 21st. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Doble.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With the season upon us, the golf clubs all polished, shined up, and put away for next spring, our thoughts turn to the wonderful events in our community celebrating this special time of year. This Saturday at Cambridge Street United Church, the Kawartha Lakes Concert Band has their annual winter concert, A Winter Dawn, featuring a festive mix of movie music, classic carols, pop jazz favorites, and 3 winter-themed original works. Many of the musicians in this fine ensemble are local talents with whom I have played in the past, and I can personally vouch for their exceptional musical talent. Starting at 7 p.m. this Saturday, December 13th, Cambridge Street United Church. And if you can't make it this Saturday, or you just can't get enough of the Kawartha Lakes Concert Band, and I'm so pleased by this, the Kawartha Art Gallery, with the support of the Canadian Arts Presentation Fund, is presenting a series of community concerts. And this coming Sunday, December 14th at 2 p.m. at Celebrations, an uplifting afternoon of festive music featuring members of the Kawartha Lakes Concert Band, their clarinet choir and brass ensemble, creating an inviting and family-friendly way for the community to enjoy live music. I want to tell you that I'm so proud of our art gallery for sponsoring this, the work they do year-round, supporting local artists and offering excellent community programming. Of course, this time of year is full of great community events, and it's impossible for me to list them all, but a couple of weeks ago, Deputy Mayor MacDonald and I were there for the lighting of the tree in front of the old town hall at Kent and Cambridge Street. I'm very grateful to the Lindsay BIA and all of the downtown storekeepers for putting on a great evening and reminding us that this Christmas, and if you're like me, you haven't even started shopping, I encourage you to join me in an Elbows Up Christmas. Check out our downtown shops for that special gift for your special someone. Let's stay home to shop in Kawartha Lakes and support our local retailers. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Joyce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And in Ward 4, just another reminder that it's the Ward of Santa Claus Parades. We start off with Little Britain on December 12th at 7 p.m., followed by Washburn Island. There's a date change for Washburn Island, so it was previously announced as a different date. It's now December 20th at 5 p.m. in the south part of Ward 4, and in the north, we finish off with Woodville, also December 20th at 6:30 p.m. So if Santa Claus parades are your thing, Ward 4 is the place to be. My monthly library board announcement. We're pleased to announce that the library team has released 2 new products in their popular line of branded merchandise, including easy identifiable and soon to be iconic orange toques. Put toque on now. Right. There we go. There we go.
It's iconic now.
I'm not trying to outdo you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just following instructions here.
Orange is the new black.
Yeah. And beautifully crafted blue ceramic mugs. These items will make excellent Christmas gifts and help celebrate local pride for your incredible library system. We're also pleased to list the most popular titles among patrons for 2025, offering a great snapshot of what our community is reading. This is part of our annual Reader's Choice Award, with voting now open. So we encourage everybody to vote and have their say in what their favorite book of the year is. And we'll celebrate this vibrant reading community. Finally, all branches will be hosting special winter crafts events for families during the school holidays at the end of the month. These are free, they're hands-on, wonderful opportunity for families to get out of the house, be creative together, and enjoy some seasonal fun. Thank you.
Do you have an update on the Fenelon Library? They had a unfortunate event, and I understand that either part of the building or all of it is closed for the time being.
Yes, I do. There was a small electrical fire. Our fine fire department were on hand to put it out very quickly. There was some minor smoke damage. Part of the library remains closed, but the other, it still remains open, the main part.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Thank you, through you. This is the time of year is for giving. And we were at the 100 Men Club meeting, and somebody spoke about the big brothers and big sisters are in need for some financial assistance. So I encourage anyone, if you can give, I encourage you to do so, and thank you if you do. One other thing, the Optimist Club are still selling Christmas trees at the Canadian Tire. They're going fast, so please, if you're looking for a beautiful tree, come on up and support the Optimist Club. And I also like to take the opportunity to wish everybody a very safe and Merry Christmas and a great holiday. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you. I want to send out a big congratulations to the Pontypool Community Centre this past Sunday. They served up 262 breakfasts and followed up with their biggest Santa night parade. So it was an awesome community day. So thank you to all the volunteers and sponsors. This weekend, Bethany United Church hosting their Santa breakfast on Saturday, December 13th, 8:30 to 10, following up with the Bethany Firefighters Association Santa Run starting at 3 p.m. Janeville Community Center hosting on Sunday, December 14th, Santa breakfast 9 to 11, followed up by the Janeville Firefighters Association Santa Run starting in Janeville at 11:30, following up mid-afternoon in the View Lake area. The Pontypool Firefighters Association will be hosting their Santa Run on Sunday, December 14th, starting at 3 p.m. in the North Subdivision. All fire halls are collecting non-perishable food donations, toys, and blankets, and maps for each station's routes are posted on their social media. All the fire halls have been noting that food is the #1 priority this year. Kawartha Conservation hosted their annual Christmas at Ken Reed last weekend. Tremendous turnout, and opening this weekend is the Illuminated Forest, starting on the December 12th, right to the 28th, nightly 5 to 9. It's a wonderful Christmas tradition for many families, and it's beautiful. So in one last note, please support all our Kawartha Lakes food source and our community food banks, and happy holidays to everyone in the Kawartha Lakes. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Perry, did you miss something?
I certainly did, Mayor. I'd be remiss to, without bringing the attention of the public, the Coffee with a Cop, featuring OPP outreach and community officer Jake Danes, coming up on Monday. That's next Monday, the 15th of December at 7 p.m. in the New Horizons Club at Southview Estates. This follows on an earlier Coffee with a Cop evening that Councillor Richardson was able to attend as well in Fenelon Falls. It's an excellent opportunity. It proved very useful to residents who were able to attend, and Constable Danes is more than available should other councillors wish to host him in their awards for an evening with residents as well. Last but not least, I would be remiss if I didn't wish everyone Merry Christmas in the Métis language Michif, which is Mio Menitu Okisiko. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Just a couple of things, Councillor Richardson. Certainly, the food banks are one thing, and Big Brothers and Big Sisters, but we also have a place called Home and Women's Resource Center. And I would encourage everybody over the holiday season, and really all year long, if you have residents who are living alone, particularly seniors, look in on them, make sure they're doing okay, and wish everyone Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, with health, wealth, and prosperity, and going forward into the new year. Thanks. Moving on, CAO, anything from staff?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to members of council. I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce and welcome Kyle Cotton, our Director of Long-Term Care Services and new Victoria Manor Administrator. Welcome. Kyle started December 1st. Quick learning curve, obviously, and he brings many years of experience and service in long-term care, both municipal as well as for-profit operators. I want to welcome Kyle, and I'm looking forward to working with you and certainly our exemplary leadership team and all of the team over at Victoria Manor to deliver exceptional services in that space. So welcome to Kawartha Lakes.
Did you wish to say anything, Mr. Cotton? Okay. Not to put you on the spot or anything. Moving on, item 5 on our agenda. I just want to say before the Deputy Mayor gives his report on 2025, how much I have enjoyed and how much I benefited from his 2 years as Deputy Mayor, and for all the help he has given me over that period of time and taken some of the pressure off from events and other things. And I really appreciate everything he's done over that period of time. So over to you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for those kind words. I'd like to begin by saying thank you to the staff and the people around this room and on Zoom. Together we achieved a lot this year. Even with all the challenges we face with, we don't always agree with each other, but that hasn't stopped us from moving things forward and getting things done. I attribute to that all of us sitting here, advocating for our residents, and at the end of the day, coming together and making good decisions for the city of Kawartha Lakes. As Deputy Mayor, I had the opportunity to speak with residents, not just in Ward 7, but from many other wards as well. All their voices and concerns helped me as I focused on some areas in the last 2 years, and I'm going to mention a few. The first one I want to talk about is the short-term rental program. Has achieved significant success in our communities, and also has been self-supporting with no tax support. We've made it safer for our tourists and the people abroad to come here and enjoy our great city. And at the same time, we gave back our residents their property so they can enjoy it again in peace. Our manager, Mr. Sloan, also successfully in a grant totaling just over $450,000, which is allocated over the next 3 years, beginning 2025. These funds are intended to support the programs, including reducing application review times, increasing officer capacity, improving response times to concerns, and enhancing the overall effectiveness of this program. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Mr. Sloan and all his staff for the hard work they did. We also had the opportunity to listen to residents on rent evictions. We were able to provide some tools for them to fight for a place they live and the place they called their home. And I'd like to thank our solicitor, Robinson Carlson, for making that happen for these individuals. The next one is customer service, which is really close to all of us and as we sit around this room. So I'm going to take you back to where we started. In 2024, we launched this Deputy Mayor Customer Service Initiative, which was actually started by Councillor Richardson, to review how service requests are being handled across 5 major areas: engineering, municipal law enforcement, licensing, planning, urban trees, and roads operations. We heard from residents and councillors often lack clear information on the status and service requests and how long they would take to be completed. This initiative confirmed that multiple systems were being used across our city, and not that our main system, the JD case, did not provide full visibility into the service request lifecycle. This limited our ability to measure performance and provide consistent updates. Where are we now? Well, this initiative has now been embedded into our updated corporate customer service standards and is informing the foundation of the city's new division service targets models. Customer service has committed to more regular reporting to council, including a clear overview and overall service demands, service requests activity, and performance against our service expectations. Where are we heading? The new CRM will support more consistent updates to residents. Customer Service Division will continue to strengthen standards, support staff, and create more coordinated reliability approach to service delivery. These changes will help the city improve consistency, transparency, responsiveness, and across all divisions in the service request handling. Thank you for the staff, especially Manager Clarkston, who has supported this initiative. Your work and feedback committed has made this progress possible. Thank you. Just 10 more pages to go. Don't just everybody relax. Yeah. The mayor taught me how to do this. So the next one was emergency services. I also had the education on emergency response during March ice storm. As part of the city emergency control group, I learned firsthand what happens when you need to respond to a citywide emergency. The ice storm affected every resident in Kawartha Lakes and every department in the city. The cleanup lasted for months. I am grateful for the leadership of our CEO and our fire chief and the rest of the EOC for steering us through that. This event really showed resilience to our residents, but also our staff. Everyone pulled together and did an exceptional job. What a team to work with. And just recently, this team has been meeting to update meetings to review what worked really well and how we can be better prepared if another event like this happens, which I really hope it doesn't happen for quite some time. So thanks to that group who did an exceptional job with the cleanup and who kept our people safe. Budget. Everybody likes to hear that word. For the past 2 years, I also chaired the Budget Committee as we navigated our new processes under the strong mayor powers. I had the privilege of reviewing and collaborating with departments and colleagues to make recommendations to the mayor's draft budget. These were tough years, working through a backlog of capital projects that needed to be addressed while keeping costs down for our residents, especially amidst the turmoil caused by factors outside of our control, which we all know what that is. However, we made historical investments in our infrastructure and increased our investments in policing, addressing the needs that we heard loud and clear from the public. So thanks to the Budget Committee for many hours and the dedication to this process. After all the discussions, changes we made, everyone that was there that day in this room here right now voted for this budget. And so let's stand together and let's move forward. Finally, at the year end, I just started working for the preparation of our 25th anniversary celebration for amalgamation. As we consider how this city has grown and changed over the years, it will be a nice way to reflect all that we have accomplished together. While there's always more to do and more progress to make, I believe that we're on the right track. So I'd just like to wrap up by thanking all the staff and their hard work for their dedication to our residents each and every day. To our CAO, Ron Taylor, always had an open door policy to take time to listen to my concerns, my opinions, and whatever else I had to say. It was a great spot to vent and talk about sports, family, or whatever we decided to. These conversations were always enclosed, and you could say whatever you wanted, and he knows how much I like being in closed sessions. Thanks, Ron. To our mayor, Doug Emsley, he is so knowledgeable. What a great mentor, and helped me face any challenges that I had. As part of my position as deputy mayor, I had to attend events for the mayor when he was unable to, because he had other commitments. I learned real fast that I better have a speech ready because they always wanted me to say something, so I didn't have anything ready. So right now I carry everything in my right pocket. I got something to say everywhere I go. I don't care. I go to the washroom, I have something just in case somebody phones me or whatever. But anyway, thanks, Doug, for teaching me to make sure I go prepared to all these meetings and taking the time for the last 2 years for coaching, counseling me, and I really learned a lot, and I appreciate all the work you do as the mayor of the city. To my fellow councilors, thank you for your trust in me for the past 2 years. It's been very educational, it's been very rewarding, and sometimes very busy, but I enjoyed every part of it. And I couldn't have done it without all of your support, so thank you.
Thank you. I will now turn the meeting over to Madam Clerk to run the election for Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. The election for Deputy Mayor is conducted as prescribed in the procedural bylaw. The clerk shall call for nominations. Each nomination for Deputy Mayor will require a mover and a seconder. After each nomination, I will ask if you are accepting. The mover and seconder will speak on their nomination, and the nominee may address council. Where only one person is nominated and accepted for Deputy Mayor, and nominations have been closed by a council resolution, the clerk shall declare that persons elected by acclamation. Voting for the Deputy Mayor shall be by secret ballot. The councillors that are participating electronically are eligible to be nominated or may nominate a councillor by moving or seconding a nomination. However, due to the election being conducted by secret ballot, voting by those participating electronically is prohibited. So let us begin. So we'll call for nominations for Deputy Mayor.
I would like to nominate Councillor Tracy Richardson for the role of Deputy Mayor for 2026.
And is there a seconder? So it's moved by Deputy Mayor Charles McDonald and seconded by Councillor Mark Doble. That Councillor Tracy Richardson has been nominated as Deputy Mayor for Kawartha Lakes. Will you accept the nomination?
I do accept.
Deputy Mayor McDonald, you may speak on your nomination.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Over the past year, Councillor Richardson has demonstrated unwavering dedication to large city projects that are needed to get across the finish line, which she led as a council representative. And I'll name a few of them. Growth management strategy was endorsed in February. DC charges strategy was adopted in November. Also observed citywide memos that will make a difference. And a few of them are elect respect, a stand for dignity and democracy, push for increases for Ontario Works, recognizing the pressures for our volunteer firefighters are facing and looking to have certificates or certification deadlines deferred, asking the province to prioritize the Greenbelt review, and most recently the drive school licensing and the safety concerns. Councillor Richardson has also provided support for all of us when it comes to helping with backgrounds on topics, boards, or committee supports. She's helped every one of them. She's also jumped in to help Ward 6 when the current councillor was unavailable. Unwaveringly, just no problem at all. Never was even asked. Councillor Richardson in 2022 started the journey for better customer service between residents and municipality staff, and I'm sure she will continue to push the great momentum that we've seen in our citywide customer service. There are the reasons I have nominated Councillor Tracy Richardson in 2026 for her leadership, integrity, and her proven track record makes the right choice to guide us in our last year of our term. Thank you.
Councillor Doble,
Thank you
as
very
your seconder, you may speak on the nomination.
Thank you. Since coming on council 7 months ago, I have to tell you that I've really appreciated the assistance, the support, and the guidance that Councillor Richardson has been so willing to provide and helping me to feel comfortable in the position and filling in some of the gaps, the knowledge gaps that I needed to in order to function effectively. The other thing I would note, and Deputy Mayor McDonald has referenced this, but Councillor Richardson, from my observation, looks beyond her ward. She's well aware of citywide issues and concerns and cares about them deeply and works very hard on the behalf of constituents, regardless of the ward. The other thing I note is Councillor Richardson is definitely somebody that does her homework. I happen to sit next to her in council meetings, and I see the paperwork that she has prepared, the notes that she has prepared. She has obviously spent hours, if not days, in preparation. When she comes to her meetings, she knows her stuff. So I'm very pleased to second this nomination.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson, you may address council.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. It's with deep responsibility and commitment to our city that I express my interest in serving as Deputy Mayor as we enter our final year of this term. As I begin my 8th year of council, I reflect on the relationships that I've built with our colleagues, our staff, across all perspectives. I've worked hard to listen, to understand concerns, and to find practical solutions that move our community forward. The role of Deputy Mayor demands availability, dependability, and integrity. It's about representing both council and our community with steadfast leadership. My focus will be on strengthening community engagement through our customer service strategy while continuing the momentum set by former Deputy Mayor McDonald. I'll expand the opportunities for residents to participate, share feedback, and see their ideas reflected in our work. Next year also brings a special milestone, the 25th anniversary of the City of Kawartha Lakes. This celebration will be an opportunity to us to come together across all our wards to showcase our civic pride and mark this important chapter in our city's history. As Deputy Mayor, I will work closely with the Mayor to prepare the next term of council. The role includes chairing the Budget Committee, and with my experience over the last 2 terms, I feel I will bring a valuable perspective to help the foundation for the future. I'm committed to ensuring continuity and stability. I'll be ready to step in when needed to maintain a steady leadership and keep our collective priorities moving forward. This council has accomplished much together. Let's think about how much we actually have. And we've made strong, thoughtful decisions for all the people in the Kawartha Lakes. I'm grateful for the trust of you have already placed in me. If you choose to support my nomination as Deputy Mayor, I will approach the role with a dedication and clear commitment to working collaboratively with all of you. Thank you.
I will now ask for a second call for nominations for Deputy Mayor. Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I would like to nominate Councillor Mike Perry.
Seconded by? Seconded by. Oh, Councillor Yeo? Sorry, I peeked, but didn't see. Councillor Perry, will you accept the nomination?
With respect to my nominator and seconder, and that is very, very flattering and very affirming to be nominated here just now, but I am going to respectfully decline the nomination and continue to focus on my work, the good people in Ward 3 and the upcoming election and future days. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And this will be a final call for nominations for Deputy Mayor. I will ask now for a motion to close nominations for Deputy Mayor. Moved by and seconded by Councillor Warren. And moved by Councillor Councillor Joyce, that the nominations for election of Deputy Mayor be closed. So we have an acclamation that Tracy Richardson has been acclaimed as Deputy Mayor effective January 1st, 2026 for a 12-month term. I now close the election.
Communications wants a picture of you and I for some reason.
How come I didn't get my picture taken?
Councillor Richardson, Deputy Mayor Richardson, would you like to make introductory remarks?
Thank you, and I am truly honored to accept this role as the Deputy Mayor. I want to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to all my colleagues on Council for your confidence and support. Serving alongside each of you has shown me the strength and dedication and the heart that drives our municipality forward, and how we work together towards all our wards, accomplishing great things. We should take a moment to recognize those achievements of Council. Despite challenging economic pressures, we have continued to move forward, support one another, and make thoughtful decisions together. Together, we have already made many impactful decisions. As we said, we are moving into our 25th anniversary of the City of Kawartha Lakes, and it's a celebration and an opportunity for us to all celebrate and to show our civic pride. Our municipality is full of tremendous amount of opportunity, and the work we do together continues to be meaningful, lasting benefits to the communities we serve. I'm proud to be part of the team that cares deeply about our city and remains committed to the bigger picture, so thank you for that. Thank you again for your trust. I look forward to continuing our work in the final year. Let's make it a great one. Thank you.
Thank you. I aired its deputy mayor-elect. I guess it starts January 1st, so you get another 21 days, Charlie. Right. Can I have a motion that the minutes of the regular council meeting of November 18th, 2025, and the special council meeting of November 25th, 2025 be received and adopted? Councillor Warren, seconder. Councillor Ashmore, all in favor? And that's passed. Move on to deputations. Our first deputation is relating to the division of the unopened road allowance for Regent Street in Lindsay. Mr. Andrew Vale, General Manager, Lindsay Buick GMC Limited. Mr. Vale, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, members of staff. Good afternoon. I just wanted to speak to the division of the Regent Street road allowance with respect to our business. If anybody's, so a little bit of background I'll start with, I guess. The church and Lindsay Buick have been trying to purchase this road allowance for well over 15 years from the city. So we finally gotten to the stage of getting to a point of what the division and everything looks like. In February of 2024, staff held a meeting with the three parties that were interested at that time in purchasing the road allowance. At that time, staff put forward to the three parties 6 options for the division of the property. None of the 6 options that were presented that day is what was presented to council to divide the property. In conversation with staff over a number of years, and anybody that has actually gone out and looked at this property, part of the issue is the elevation of the property. There are 3 very different elevation levels between where it lines up with the church, where it lines up with our dealership, where it lines up with Mr. Canuster's property. So the part of the road allowance that we're really dealing with, like we don't have an issue with the church's portion. It's the remaining portion between Lindsay Buick and the Canusters that if it goes the way staff would like to split it, which is an east and west divide down the middle of the road allowance, the elevation leaves us a portion that is really unusable. Right? Because that middle portion, if you stand at the south end of our lot and look at that middle portion, it's about a 10 to 12 foot height elevation difference, which lines up with, closer to what the level of the Canuster property is from ours. The section that fronts on Angeline Street is level with our property. So all we've been trying to accomplish through this whole process is a split that makes sense for both parties, right? As far as groundwork and stuff that would have to be done to make the parcels usable, right? All we're looking for is the piece that is usable for us, and the Canoosters can have the piece that is usable at their end. Through that meeting in February 24, the Canoosters had expressed wanting to have access to either Angeline or Regent Street, which is why option 6, which I asked the clerk to circulate to everybody's package, was the favorable option from that February 2024 meeting. We have no issue with extending a piece of property through there to the Canoosters to access, Angeline Street if that is their wish. And I don't know whether access would ever be granted. That's not my decision to make. Right? I'm just trying to come up with something that works for our business and our company. The split east and west would mean for me to make anything close to usable, I'd have to dig that hill out, build an engineered retaining wall, and what I would be left with, I would be lucky if I even get, a parking space of width left after doing that, right? Whereas if we split it the other way, there's much more usable property for both of us. That's been expressed to staff, and the response that I've gotten back from staff with that is that they prefer the clean lines. And all I would say to that is the Canooster property is already in a regular shaped lot. So I'm not sure why we're tied up with clear, distinct, straight lines. So I think that pretty much covers it from my end. If there's questions that I can answer for anybody. Oh, the only other thing I will mention is that in the mapping and everything, we are well aware that there is a strip of frontage along Angeline Street that the city is retaining, right? And we don't have an issue with that. That lines up when we built our building 15 years ago. We gave up property or the frontage along Angeline Street as part of the future expansion and widening of Angeline Street. That creates no issue for us.
Thank you. You just stay there in case there are questions. Can I get a mover and seconder to receive the deputation? Councillor Perry, Councillor Richardson. Any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, I have one. Mr. Vail, the solution you're proposing, was that documented anywhere back in 24 that you know of?
Yep, I presented, or I sent through to the deputy clerk a copy of option 6. I have the email that staff sent all the parties out the afternoon following that meeting that listed all 6 options and information from that morning meeting. And if that needs to be provided, it's in my email. I can provide that to whoever wishes it.
I believe I may have seen it, so thank you. Seeing no questions, all in favor? And that passes. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Our next deputant relating to the same issue is Mr. Kevin Dugay, and I believe, Mr. Dugay, you're online, and you have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. For the record, my name is Kevin Dugay. I'm the planning consultant for Mr. Canooster and his wife, Christine Keenan. I did listen attentively to Mr. Vail's delegation, and I can advise council that my clients have filed with the municipality and have received a pre-consultation report, file D38-2025-101. And what my clients are contemplating is the construction of a freestanding building, which would accommodate Mr. Canooster's mobile glass repair business, as well as the potential for an upper floor apartment. Now, that application has been, was filed, the pre-consultation, early in 2025, and it's the development concept that has been advanced is in part predicated upon the equitable division of the unopened Regent Street road allowance in a manner Mr. Vale has described as staff recommended, that is from Angeline Street proceeding in an eastern direction to the limit of the Canooster property. Your Worship, I've been involved with some other unopened road allowance purchase with this municipality, and the principle that I'm aware of and I've seen carried forward by council is an equitable distribution. What Lindsay Buick is proposing is fundamentally not fair to my clients. It would be disruptive to their development aspirations and intent. And Mr. Canooster and Mrs. Keenan we've been awaiting the disposition of the road allowance so that we can then proceed with the advancement of the land use approval application. So I can advise council that we would support a division of the unopened road allowance in an east-west manner, running the distance or the length or depth of the Canooster property. I've noted from my site visits to the property, and I've also noted from aerial images that Mr. Vale has referenced being option 6. Currently, Lindsay Buick is parking vehicles along the majority or the entire width of the Regent Street road allowance today. So having said that, again, the principle of equitable and fair distribution, of which the church could receive their equitable portion, Lindsay Buick theirs, and my clients would receive a proportionate amount of the unopened road allowance, and thus allowing them to proceed with their land use approval application. From a planning perspective, is fair and justifiable, and I make myself available now to provide a question. I might say, Your Worship, it was actually Mr. Vale who made me aware of this delegation. I wasn't aware the matter was appearing at council. Had I had more time, I would have prepared a more formal presentation sharing with council our conceptual plan and related information. I make myself available now for questions, should there be any from council. And I would like to say, if I may, to newly elected Deputy Mayor Richardson, congratulations on your returning in that capacity to your municipal council. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to receive the deputation? Councillor Ashmore and Councillor Richardson. Deputy Mayor McDonald, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I'm just looking at this diagram, option number 6, and I see that Angeline Street is going to be widened, so there's going to be some property that's going to be that the city needs for that. Have you been approved or asked for an entrance off of Angeline Street yet?
Your Worship, in response, our conceptual plan that was prepared anticipates the required widening of Angeline Street. We are not proposing vehicular access from Angeline. We would continue to use the existing driveway facility that serves my client's property, being 130 Angeline Street.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you. Thank you, Mr. Dugay, and thank you for the congrats on that nomination there. Just one question. So with the conceptual design plan, there's quite an elevation difference between the properties. How does your client envision building out with that difference in elevation? Because you're looking at 12 feet.
Your Worship, in response, we are aware of the elevation change, and it would be a subject of some engineering work. And as Mr. Vale said, regardless, someone is going to ultimately be constructing some sort of retaining structure within a portion of the property. I appreciate where my clients are proposing to acquire half the road allowance, not all of it. And also, I might say that depending on building design, there may be a possibility, Your Worship, that the building itself might be able to provide some level of retaining feature and retaining structure. We're not at that point yet, but we're aware of the elevation change.
Thank you. Councillor Yo.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Duguay, are your clients aware of this option 6? That was brought forward in 2024. Taking your clients were privy to that at that time?
Your Worship, in response, my clients, I believe, were at the meeting. I was not retained at the time. I was retained as a consequence of the meeting. So I would imagine that they considered all the options, and I've worked very closely with them since that time. And their preference is the equitable division of the Regent Street road allowance in an east-west manner, running the depth of their property post-road widening, because there would be a portion of the land the city would retain for widening of Angeline.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is spelled out clearly in the report. And okay, so I thank you for that, because I was just wondering, looking at option 6 and the difference between the straight east-west, there's not a whole, there is some difference, but there's also some similarities there too. Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Councillor Perry.
Thanks very much, Mayor, and thank you both for the deputations today. I was able to go in and take a look at the property earlier today, and I just to understand correctly, the proposed east-west segregation of the property seems to put both flat land, because it seems to be about the elevations, both flat land and elevated land in both parcels, rather than, say, the north-south division being proposed, which would put flat land on the property that Mr. Vale is interested in, which is already being used as parking, and then, as mentioned, an elevated section, the hill section, which is already on line, more or less, with neighboring properties. I'm just wondering if I have that understanding correct.
Your Worship, in response, if I understand the question correctly, and again, to reiterate, I'm aware of the elevation change. My clients were contemplating a building, a portion of which might be located within the concerned unopened road allowance. And they were also contemplating some parking in front of that building within the limits of the preferred road allowance acquisition.
Okay, thank
I
you
don't
very
know
much.
how else I might best respond to that query, but that would be my explanation, Your Worship.
That's fine. Thank you very much, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Councillor Joyce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question goes on similar lines to the other councillors here. You were talking about equitable division of property. This Plan 6 actually gives Mr. Nooster a greater share of the property divide. And I respect how Realty wants clean lines, but in this case, topography is quite an issue that I think exceptions need to be made. But I guess my question is it they really want frontage to Angeline Street, Mr. Nooster? Is because this section 6, from if I'm standing in his shoes, it looks quite favorable to Mr. Nooster. It's more land and more availability to build a bigger building this way without any retaining walls.
Your Worship, again, in response, I became aware of this delegation request very recently, and I have had not a full opportunity to thoroughly consider option 6. However, the principle of equitable distribution is important, and perhaps there are instances where equitable distribution is manifested not in an exact 50% of land, but a configuration of land. But my clients were considering a building which would have an orientation towards Angeline Street with parking in front of it. The plan that's being proposed would have less of that street exposure available to a proposed business. And that principle is of concern to me at the moment. And again, I just haven't had enough opportunity to carefully evaluate the preferred option of Lindsay Buick in this instance. And my apologies for that. But just simply timeline didn't allow. Same.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you too, Mr. Duguay. Thank you for coming. Just a question. You mentioned about the entrance to your client's property. Is it right to the south of the diagram? Does it enter off of the formerly a chiropractic center insurance business? Is it just south of that, or do you have you proposing an entrance off Angeline Street? But presently, is the entrance just south of that? If you could clarify, please.
Yes, Your Worship, the intent would be to not create any new vehicular ingress egress from Angeline, but to utilize the existing driveway that serves the subject property with necessary improvements prescribed through any site plan approval.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you, just a supplementary follow-up question. So currently it's zoned residential, correct? And you still need to, the plan actually depends on that rezoning of the site plan approval. Am I correct on that assumption as well?
Your Worship, that is correct. There will be a requirement for some level of land use approval. And again, that application, had there not been a road allowance, unresolved road allowance, we'd have had this application likely filed with your municipal planning department, city planning department already. But we've been awaiting the disposition of the road allowance. So yes, land use approval is needed. And yes, we're anticipating a consequence of land use will prompt the need for site plan control.
Thank you. Seeing no more questions, we have a motion to receive the deputation. All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you, Mr. Duguay, for coming today. And as you know, this is item 1313 on the agenda and will be coming up in the not too distant future.
Thank you, Your Worship. Merry Christmas to all.
Thank you. Moving on to correspondence. I don't believe we have any. No. And next up is presentations. And we have a presentation by Mark Majorkowski, Chief Administrative Officer, Kawartha Conservation, talking to the proposed regionalization of conservation authorities. Welcome, Mark.
Speak. There we go. The red light. It works. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Deputy Mayor Richardson, not yet, is still McDonald. Deputy Mayor and members of council, it's my pleasure to be here today and just to inform you of a couple of announcements that have been made by the province that impacts conservation authorities. Oops. That is supposed to be my stopwatch. That tells me how much time I'm working with. So these are some pretty big announcements that are introduced by the province, one of which is in play currently, and the other of which is a proposal. So there is some opportunity to influence the process if council feels appropriate, and I'll go through both because there is some synergy between the two, but they can be separated fairly easily as well. There you go. So the two aspects that the province has announced is the creation of an Ontario Provincial Conservation Agency. That's the first part. This is now in law. There will be an agency that will be introduced and carry forward with its objectives. The second, which is out for consultation at this point in time, is the regional consolidation of conservation authorities. And I'll go through both of these in turn. The first one is the what I'll I'll short term it to OPCA, which is a little bit shorter, but it's the Ontario Provincial Conservation Agency. This was introduced in Bill 68, the Budget Measures Act, a plan to protect Ontario. It was introduced November 6th and has received final assent, so it is law now. It was identified in Schedule 3 of this, which had a number of amendments to a number of different acts, and this Schedule 3 amends the Conservation Authorities Act and include about 10 pages of legislation that identifies how this new agency would operate and under what means it would do so. So there are 11 different objectives. I've listed 10 of them here. The 11th is just a catch-all, anything else that seems reasonable. But the agency proposes a number of things that are reasonable, and these are listed on this first page, include a number of things that CAs do in a general sense, but the province is looking at formalizing these. Across the board, I guess it would be the best way to phrase it, which would include digital strategies for everyone, shared services, strategic investments in conservation authorities, consistent policies, fees, a centralized permitting system across Ontario for permits, and would oversee and evaluate financial performance of CAs. And I think these are reasonable from the standpoint of a lot of times there's actually been 19 changes to the Conservation Authorities Act in 9 years, so the pace of about 2 times a year. And a lot of times these changes are just placed in the legislation, but really no functional follow-up in terms of how to interpret or things of that nature. So I think making sure that there are some guidance from the province, I think is a good thing in terms of how they would like to implement these, and something that CAs have actually been asked for a number of years to provide some clarity on a couple of items that are in legislation. We do have guidelines as well that are identified. Those are ones in the Act, but outside of the Act, there's no guidelines that are identified by the province to achieve, and that's what this agency would do. Other things that the agency would oversee is governance of conservation authorities. I'm not too certain exactly what that means, but there would be governance of overseeing the operations of programs and services, and I think that's a little bit more defined. They are looking at the transition to a regional watershed-based framework, and that is the subject of the proposal that is out for comment currently. As well as more strongly aligning conservation authorities with provincial mandates. They would be responsible for guiding and evaluating strategic plans of conservation authorities and report on the effectiveness of conservation authorities in the work that they do. Some key points regarding the Ontario Provincial Conservation Authority, the OPCA, is that it is a Crown agency. It would not operate for profit, so it's the expenses alone. They would have a relatively small board of at a minimum of 5 members, where there'd be a chair and up to 2 vice chairs selected by the Lieutenant Governor and Council. And the rest of the appointees, the number of greater than 5 would be an option, and these folks would be responsible for overseeing the OPCA, and as a result, all the implementation of the various objectives of the OPCA. And this represents a typical CA board as well. Our board is 9 members. I know Ganaraska Otonabee are 10 and 11 members. So about the same size that you look at for those. There are, in terms of the funding, the province has indicated that the OPCA would be funded by the province. The length and term is not as clear, but what is clear is that in the legislation, the last couple of pages that were introduced, is that there are a couple of recoverable items for the OPCA, and that follows 2 different pieces that translate to a number of the different objectives that the agency is tasked with. And this is through direction to pay, and also through apportionment. Similar to levies that conservation authorities have, this would be a levy to conservation authorities and then back to municipalities. as a result. So funded from both mechanisms. The amount to which this occurs is not clear, but that is something that is in play. The apportionment side is not enacted in legislation yet, so this is something that still has to be passed through legislation. But if it does, then there is the automatic apportionment that would occur. Some other key points related to the OPCA is that there is a strong relationship between the minister and the OPCA. This is established through an MOU and then direction that the minister can put forward to the agency. And importantly as well is that any direction that is provided to conservation authorities, it flows through the minister first, who has an ability to modify or amend as they feel necessary. There is an information flow as well that flows right from conservation authorities to the OPCA and right to the minister as part of the reporting framework. And tied with this is any information that they ask of any of the authorities will be provided. These are all must-comply options, which includes any from the minister to the agency and from the agency to conservation authorities. This includes legal as well as any information that would be traditionally protected under MFIPA. So there are some transparency components related to the OPCA. This includes financial statements and reporting to the minister on a 3-year basis to the minister, as I mentioned. The public, what is posted there is the directions, whether it be from the minister to the agency or the agency to CAs, and any guidance that the OPCA deems necessary. It's unclear at this point in time whether there will be other implementation items such as similar guidelines for our boards as conservation authorities, which is open meetings, minutes and agendas online or those sorts of things. But like I say, this is new and that may be forthcoming, but not identified specifically in the legislation as it is for CAs. So that's the first part. So on this backdrop of pretty broad oversight for conservation authorities and the ability to focus in a much more direct way conservation authority business is this proposal to regionalize conservation authorities across the province. So all 36 would be kind of smushed together into 7 regional CAs. And I'll explain a little bit more about these as we go forward. Just go back, it's my best handiwork at putting City of Kawartha Lakes boundary there on a freehand, so you can see that we have cities in 2 big regions. So the provincial objectives, as they've stated, is that they are aiming to align CAs with provincial mandates. They are looking at trying to simplify accountability, but also introducing a lot more through the OPCA. Remain independent organizations, which is true, but again, strong oversight from the agency. Retain watershed jurisdictions. And balance expertise and capacity across CAs and strengthen local partnerships in this very large regional model. I've been trying to figure out some details of this, so I've been crunching numbers as best I can to try and figure out what this means in order to give myself a little bit more of a tangible perspective on this. So I present some of these information to you, which are a roll-up of the information that's provided in the posting. You can see that city is in the Huron-Superior RCA, just for short form, Regional Conservation Authority. 23,000 square kilometers, more or less, with 80 municipalities. The one that we belong to, for Kawartha Conservation and 7 others, is the Eastern Lake Ontario RCA, with about 16,000 square kilometers, more or less, and 48 municipalities. Our size is about the size of 3 PEIs stuck together, and keeping with the East Coast theme, Huron-Superior is about half the size of Nova Scotia, for context. This is a closer look at the Eastern Lake Ontario RCA proposed. And you see that we are 7 different regions. This involves 7 different authorities. The Quinte is actually an amalgamated conservation authority for 3 different conservation authorities in the past. So it has a pretty large watershed area. And you can see from the red stars there the different CAs that you send a member to on this area, in addition to Simcoe, but the dot was off the map in this case. And just to provide a graphic around how this would actually look, City of Kawartha Lakes being the red square, be one of 48 municipalities. The lighter green there is the rest of the municipalities in Kawartha Conservation. And you see they really form a piece of the whole and a corner of that. Within that, you have the Kawartha RCA, Kawartha Conservation. You have 3 members on that, 3 of a 9-member board. That works out to 33% vote on any matter, 50% on the budget, and there's a 60% apportionment. And you see the numbers there for Ganarask and Otonabee. Visually represented would be the Eastern Lake Ontario Regional Conservation Authority that's proposed. My apologies for the math there. It says 0.04. I forgot to multiply by 100. Obviously, math is not my strong suit. My apologies. That should be 4%, which makes it look a whole lot better. And you can see here, so 4% is would be 3 members of about a 73-member board. You can see that the province did achieve consistency in their objective, which was to reduce duplication. So they save about 15% of the board members on there, and 2 of those would be city members. But a big board, nonetheless. And this is all tied to, of course, the budgets, governance, and operations of conservation authorities that would have to be worked out amongst this group. My rough estimate for percent of budget would be about 8%, 8 to 10% of the regional budget overall. The proposed timelines, this is moving fairly quickly. In October 31st is when this was announced. The legislation for the OPCA went through in November. December is the deadline for comments on the regional consolidation, which is December 22nd. And we know that the province is going to sit as a legislature between February and June, so it's most likely that kind of relatively early in that process, they'll come out with some additional guidance that will either take the form of an ERO posting or take the form of legislation. The plan that's identified by the province at this point in time is that in October, when the municipal elections are held, that would be the end of the term of the current boards as they are formulated, and the new regional structure would take place, which leaves 2027 as the operating time for this new regional CA. The province has identified that they expect no impact of programs or services or interruptions to timeframes, which is some comfort. But I think there's a lot of questions as well, which you can see here. Certainly, a governance scale that's that big, I think there's some concerns around what is effective, where everyone can have a voice. Certainly in the local model, there is that voice. As it gets larger and larger, it's much more difficult to have that voice being as effective and therefore be able to tailor programs to local communities and local watersheds. There's a big question around how everything's just going to work in general, but what's the regional structure? The organizational structure of a regional conservation authority, how does that pull in the different CAs? Do the CAs even exist currently, or is it a regional model similar to a lower tier, upper tier kind of model? There's a lot of questions regarding this. And of course, what does the budget look like? Because that transition time is very quick. And how do you develop a budget when you don't have a governance model in play? So there's lots of things here. One of the big questions I have, which I was concerned about so much, I put on 2 slides right next to each other. Who pays for this? So what's the transition funding? We know that transitions cost money, but there's been no indication of any support funds that are coming forward with this. And then, of course, logistically, you end up with all the things that you would expect with a regionalization, which is how do you handle assets, liabilities, operations, combining them all into one piece, identifying an identity for a brand new region. And you can see here's a few more questions that are put forward. And I think realistically it's probably better to evaluate things before just stepping through it and just hoping it works. So an evaluative process probably makes a lot more sense. Figure out the feasibility of this first before moving forward to even a transition plan. And in that same breath, look at alternatives. From my standpoint, I can see that there's some benefits to a regionalization, but nothing that couldn't be achieved through a current model as well. So these are some of the questions I think that are coming up across the board. And certainly the local programming side, I think, is the other thing with the identification of standards, KPIs, and other things that the province is identifying needs to be done, then that is a pressure on the budget as well, because there are things that theoretically would have to be met in order to achieve those, and that has an ability to squeeze the budget as well, and therefore maybe impact on local programming. So lots of questions in the mix, and with that, I'll just say thank you. The ERO is identified there, and the due date for the posting. I can say that there's lots of municipalities that are wrestling with this. A lot of resolutions are being passed with support in general for the streamlining of activities and consistency and clarification, but opposing the regional consolidation. Or wanting to make sure that those consolidations are done with eyes wide open and a decision of the municipalities and conservation authorities. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. If you just stay there for a few minutes, I think there will be questions. First, can I have a motion to receive the presentation? Councillor Richardson, Councillor Doble. Questions? Councillor Doble.
Thank you very much for your presentation. As we know, I also sit on Kawartha Conservation as a director. So we've had this conversation before, but as I look at this, I see that this is only going to serve to reduce the local voice and therefore the local authority, and diminish the effectiveness, the overall effectiveness of and efficiencies of conservation authorities across Ontario. I've been looking through the material, and I'm trying to find an identified a concrete example of where savings would be obtained in this process. I see additional costs. They have promised that there would be no job losses across the province in this. Can you identify any concrete examples of where tangible savings would be achieved through this process?
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. I can't really see a lot of, as CAs we run pretty lean budgets. So I think the only efficiency you're gaining is by pushing things together is the 15 or so board members that are saved across the region. But that's not a big cost savings in the end. You do introduce a ton of costs through this regionalization. Like you say, you'd have to engage lawyers in order to look at every single agreement that you have in place for all of the entities and transfer them over to a regional entity. So there's no cost savings there. On the HR side, I think you're probably going to end up with probably some increased cost if you have all the people, because we have GTA influences coming from Whitby and Oshawa, and those you'd have to have a consistent framework for compensation. And I think probably as you go to the GTA, you're probably paid more than somewhere to the north. And so I don't see necessarily cost savings there. And I think you do increase complexities. But I think in a regional model, you probably have a lot more layers of management in order to make things work. So I don't see really a lot of cost savings necessarily there either. I haven't crunched the numbers, but that's exactly what studies would do to figure out feasibility. But everything I come up with, including the chargeback mechanisms for the OPCA, which would be an additional pressure on the budget. So I don't see cost savings myself.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Just, a comment on how quickly this is happening and the actual impacts, like you said, that are going to be forced down on the municipality. I do also sit on Ganaraska Conservation, so I certainly am well versed in what's going on there. And the thing is, we are all different watersheds, and the City of Kawartha Lakes is very distinct and very wide, different watershed. And I'm also very concerned with the loss of specialized staff. There is going to be higher costs with this transition. We have recently seen it with the Board of Health mergers, which definitely comes back to the taxpayer having to pick up the end result. But we are already doing good things with sharing services with other CAs. Maybe you can just explore that just with the group here about how we already are working with other CAs to be cost streamlined.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. The councillor is absolutely right. All CAs really look at opportunities to leverage resources and expertise. And there's a couple of good examples that come to mind. We shared a staff with actually Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority on a couple of different items. We shared an engineer for a good number of years. And that provided a nice cost savings from a development review standpoint. We didn't feel it was at that time enough work for a full-time engineer, but half-time was perfect. We shared back in the days when we had a role in natural heritage evaluation, we shared an ecologist with Ganaraska as well. And through floodplain studies, we partner with Ganaraska as well. So Ganaraska is one of our go-tos, recognizing their engineering expertise. Recently, there's a lot of work that's going on with something called the STEP program. It's a Sustainable Technologies evaluation. STEP. P stands for something I can't remember at this point, but it is looking at low impact development and translating the expertise across all CAs, and that's a partnership amongst a lot of the GTA municipalities, which is translating across a wide number of conservation authorities, either in the GTA or on the outskirts of, and so we're benefiting from that expertise and their work and their innovations. We have a partnership with something called the York Peel Durham as well, the groundwater program, and so that's something that in this municipality, all the source water information, where it came from was from this big groundwater model that's gone through a lot of scientific interpolation and expertise in order to get the best information, pulls all the water well records together, all the geologic information, and that produces great modeling. And so the city's been a big benefit of that, as we have as Kawartha Conservation. And that extends across the entire Trent Conservation Coalition area as it stands, which runs all the way down to Lower Trent, but also runs all the way across to Niagara. So we organize in units that make sense for the initiatives that we are taking care of, and we've also partnered on IT as well. There's lots of partnerships. Maybe I should just stop there. But lots of ways in which we share staff. The only thing I can say is that if there's a template that makes it easier, just so that we can all understand the common terminology and sign the document. So if we do need it, then that would be the beneficial thing. But that can be done without regional consolidation as well.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Mark. Thanks for coming. I'm a director on the Autonomy Region Conservation Authority, and obviously we've discussed this here. Just a question, you brought up the maps there. As you had said, they're models, and going back to the Otonabee Region Conservation, they actually just announced a few days ago that they were in a memorandum of understanding with Crow Valley Conservation Authority, so they've, for lack of better words, merged with them. What are your thoughts on maybe just trying to propose a different governance model? And it's pretty hard to fight this thing because it's already had royal assent on November 27th, and personally, I think it should have been longer, but debate for this, but it's been passed, but we have to deal with it now. But do you think maybe looking at different other conservation authorities like Central Lake Ontario or Lake Simcoe or other conservation authorities that are closer to Kawartha that we could look at, or you and your board could look at partnerships like Otonabee Region Conservation Authority did, just so you have the upper hand instead of the province telling you what to do?
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I am a strong believer that the current model works, and that the local watersheds have significance. So that's kind of my base standpoint as a professional in the field. I recognize that there are other influences kind of working through this that I would have to act on, which would be board direction, of course. But I do want to clarify two pieces. One is that the OPCA, the legislation that identifies all this requirements for standards and streamlining, things like that, that is passed, but the regional consolidation of CAs is the proposal, and that's not written in stone yet. So that's I think an important clarification. The other one is with Otonabee and the Crow. Crow had a GM that retired, so there was a vacancy there, and I could see, if I was to hypothesize for the decision, it's probably pretty hard to bring in a CAO when there's been this announcement that's been put forward. So I think the media release that I saw said it was a joint CAO role, but not necessarily taking over the other CA. So they are independent organizations. I think there's always ways to work better together. So I'm a firm supporter of that. As I mentioned, shared services is one of those. I think policy standards, guidelines, we have self-organized as conservation authorities to achieve that. And so those are the things that I believe are good. But I think the local impact we can have to communities is also very important.
Thank you. Councillor Joyce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I have a couple of questions here. It's interesting that the province is going in this direction. I'm not on any conservation boards, but I do go through the budgets. From my perspective, Kawartha Lakes and Kawartha Conservation and the other conservation areas are lean and mean and well run from what I can see. Your annual budget requests are quite in line every year, so that's more than acceptable for the taxpayer. So my question is, why is the province going this direction? Are you aware, are there any dysfunctional conservation authorities out there that's grabbing the province's attention that might lead them to go in this direction? I have more questions.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I think, the province has a different perspective, of course, given what they're trying to achieve and what they hear. So I only hear pieces that I have, but I know that there are different items. There are a small percentage that end up gaining the attention of either politicians or the premier himself, and anywhere in between that they might need to troubleshoot. And I know there have been a couple other items that was discussed with the province, but it was really trying to implement exactly what the province had identified in their legislation, and I know that caused a bit of a stir out east. And it was related to the regulated areas and mapping it as they had identified. Where they had applied a local approach which works for them, and the province said, no, you have to look at every wetland and a 30-meter buffer on those, and they had only looked at a fraction of those. So implementing that caused quite a stir, and they actually went back to what they had originally done. But I think those are rooted in developing the legislation and not knowing the impact at the same time. So I think if there's anything that needs to be done, it is that standardization standpoint. The last time there was any I would call it functional discussion on timelines or process were 2001 and 2002, which is when technical guidelines came out on the planning side for natural hazards, not the permitting side for natural hazards. Permitting, there's never been any guidance, so we use the planning guidance. So that's where I think there's an ability for interpretation as a result in the mix. The other one was streamlining processes and standards, which has been a consistent since about 2011, which is when BUILD, the M&R, and Conservation Authorities Development Community all work together to create service standards. But since that time, conservation authorities have recognized the value of that and actually shrunk those by 33%. And so I think there are definitely issues, but I think it would probably be sorted out through better guidance overall.
Those are issues that could be easily fixed without consolidation. So thank you for that. My other question, Quinte, you said consolidated from 3 into 1. So I might have more questions depending on this answer. How familiar are you with that consolidation?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, not very much. I just know there are 3 big river systems and they amalgamated. And it was going back a number of years at this point.
Okay, well then no further questions then. Because I was going to ask like how much did it cost? Why did they do it? But that's okay. Thank you very much.
If you'd like, Mr. Mayor, I can comment a teeny little bit. Of course, I wasn't involved directly in this, but there was one recent look at amalgamation, and that was between the Nottawasaga Valley and Lake Simcoe. So they did evaluate on their own without the province interjecting in the process. But looking at whether or not it made sense for those 2 conservation authorities to amalgamate, and in the end, it was not moved forward. It was rejected by the other municipalities.
Councillor Perry.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for coming this afternoon and for the excellent presentation. Just briefly, we've heard a lot in the deputation and in the question and answers now about the concerns, the negative impacts. I'm just questioning, with all of the kind of cost concerns and negative impacts, who benefits? Who benefits from this amalgamation of all of these conservation authorities?
Thank you for the question. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't really know. The only piece I can think of is that I don't see a benefit to municipalities because there is I believe a loss of voice locally in a regional context. I don't think that's good for the community as a result. So the only benefit really can be the province in some sort of way, in that maybe they believe it streamlines things a lot better. Maybe part of it is instead of having 36, maybe 7's easier to kind of steer. But that's the only advantage I can really see.
Thank you very much for addressing those substantive merits of this, and I appreciate that. I have perhaps a more suspicious view, but I'll save that for later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions, we have a mover and seconder. All in favor? Thank you. Thanks for coming, Mark, and good luck and season's greetings.
Yes, thank you. I saw your hat earlier. I love it. Thank you so much.
Other and new business, 1111 is a memorandum relating to rent control. Councillor Warren, that's yours. Do you wish to speak to it? You're on mute.
There we go. Sorry. I think it pretty much speaks for itself. I think it's really important that we ask the province to look at this issue because there have been issues because of rent control. We have more homelessness. I think it needs to be looked at least, and that's basically what we're asking, while protecting landlords too, and enhancing the landlord-tenant board, and to speed up the process, which would help us also. I did reach out to staff and social services and housing, and they added a few things. And I just think it's prudent to ask the province to look at this.
Okay.
So I move.
I assume you're moving it, so I'll look for a seconder. Councillor Perry. Do you want to speak to it some more?
No, I've actually got a time crunch, Mr. Mayor. So, no, I've got to leave soon. So.
Yeah. Councillor Perry, do you wish to speak to it?
Certainly, Mayor, just briefly. We talk about how we value people around this table, and Bill 60 does claim to be about balance and building fair, but it really makes evictions easier, and that's not really building homes. It's kind of consistent with this pattern we're seeing of eroding tenant protections and affordability. So I want to support this motion originally brought by the Council of Wawa. Bill 60 actually cuts the time to pay rent arrears in half. It removes compensation for landlords' own use evictions when they want to do things with their own property and evict people. It blocks tenants from raising maintenance issues at eviction hearings, cuts appeals in half, and also removes adjudicator discretion. There was no public consultation on this Bill 60. It was fast-tracked, actually, forced to third reading on the 24th of November, and is opposed by over 130 organizations. Notably as well, AMO has expressed concerns calling for a more balanced approach. So for all of those reasons, I'm pleased to second the motion moved by Councillor Warren.
Thank you. Councillor Richards.
Thank you to you, Mr. Mayor. Maybe just a quick question to Director Faber. I know Kawartha Lakes, we've emphasized that housing affordability is not just about supply, but also about tenant security. Maybe just a quick comment regarding that. The tenant security, how important it is for us moving forward. If we're moving forward with what the province is proposing, it's not just about the supply, but it should be more about tenant security for us meeting our targets.
Director.
Through you, if I understand you correctly, Councillor Richardson, I'm just trying to frame what I want to respond to that. I think what we're really hoping is that, if I'm answering this right, I'm not sure I'm understanding correctly, the community safety of our housing units and the well-being of our tenants is a #1 priority for sure. Is that what you're asking? Maybe you could.
Well, I think it's the impact. The bill favors landlords by speeding up evictions and reducing compensating while providing the boost for housing supply. But for us, meeting our targets and providing that housing supply to those that are in need, it's not just about supply for us. It's more about tenant security with supporting what Councillor Warren's put forward here.
Yeah, so maybe if I can use some different terminology, I think it's a housing first approach. And that is the crux of the work that we are doing to ensure that housing remains stable for people, and that housing first is the option versus the eviction side. And this is kind of the push-pull that we face between as well, the city as the shareholder for the KLH Housing Corporation of 850 units alone. We also have to ensure we're monitoring tenant complacency, behavior, things like that, while at the same time being responsible for managing the by name list and the increasing number of people who are living homeless and unsheltered. So it does become a push-pull, but the as well as Bill 60 also indicates around the landlord-tenant board efficiencies that need to be streamlined. Those are key pieces of this act that as Councillor Perry suggested, if they move forward with those, it will just create further problems that we're already experiencing. It compounds already what we are experiencing through the Landlord-Tenant Board. So it's a very complex issue because there's an input and an output, but everything that happens in the middle affects both sides of that.
Thank you, and that just solidifies the impact that it would have locally, so thanks very much.
Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you. Through you to Director Faber as well. Just one of the really good words in the last paragraph was protecting vulnerable tenants. And years ago we had what they called a rent bank, and I know it's a different name, but we still have some sort of mechanism like that that helps tenants here in Kawartha Lakes. If they're behind in rent and they're feeling the pressures, do we still have a similar type of program that sort of mimic that or replace that rent bank that we had a few years ago, which worked quite well for people and helped people out a lot?
Through you, and certainly Councillor Ashmore, I wasn't here when that was on, but there is a high majority of our tenants who are living on social assistance who are within our units, and certainly with that, stabilized and housing first is a priority of addressing and redirecting their social assistance towards rent. So sustaining rent and or rent geared to income is a priority of how we serve and support those tenants. If there are things like first and last month's rent, we work through things like that to ensure and we stabilize the housing for individuals. There's every situation is different, and it's based on an individualized plan. So if rent is an issue, we work through ways as best we can. We ensure everything is done before an eviction or an N4 is put into place.
Thank you. Yeah, my question was more towards those who are not in our social, they're not on social services and they're not under our housing at all. Like these are in private rental agreements with individual private landlords. I know we did have that program as obviously before when you came to the city, but it was a great program and I think it wasn't that expensive to fund either. And I think that, we could maybe look into that again at some time, but thanks for the answers.
Councillor Perry.
If I could, a second, just to sum up, as councillor, I am chair of the Haldor and Kawartha Lakes Housing Corporation, and that corporation serves exactly that, most vulnerable folks at risk of homelessness, and also those who are hardest to house, as they say. Director Faber makes an excellent point about push and pull, and well, in my humble opinion, Bill 60 is a big push, and 70% of ODSP recipients are in the private tenancy and rent markets. And empty units don't become available necessarily by making evictions faster. If units are available and vacant, most times landlords are waiting for higher rents. And Bill 60 enables that by making evictions easier and having no rent controls. I know people who've just been through some incredible rent increases given the cost of living the past while. And my understanding too with this bill is that tenant groups weren't consulted, but those firms representing landlords now got faster evictions, less compensation, and fewer tenant protections. So again, for all of those reasons and those raised by my fellow councillors, I'm pleased to support this motion and the municipality of Wawa.
Thank you. Councillor Warren, do you want to sum up?
Just briefly, ever since rent controls have been done away with, we've had more homelessness and more people suffering. So I hope you'll support this, and we'll see what happens if we get other people, municipalities, raising their voices. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a mover and seconder, so all in favor? And that passes. 11.2 is, Councillor Warren, is your memorandum regarding opposition to elements of Bill 68, Schedule 3 in the Environmental Registry of Ontario, posting ERO 025-1257. Do you want to...
Just briefly, Mark Makowski really hit all the salient points. I have been engrossed in this for a few weeks now, and almost every municipality or conservation authority that we've spoken to are opposing this. Parts of it they're not, where there can be efficiencies. And I think, I think we have to push back at this point. I think it's a democratic issue. Let us make our own amalgamations if they so want us to do that. So I hope you'll support this, and we'll see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you. So you're moving this. Is there a seconder? Councillor Richardson, do you wish to speak more to it?
I just hope everybody will support this, and we'll see if it'll be an I'm asking everybody to go onto the ERO by December 22nd and have their say. Even the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus are opposing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson, do you wish to talk to it?
No, I think as Councillor Warren has pointed out, and CAO Mark, it is important that we push back, because this is not one size fits all, and there needs to be some thoughtful consultation to make sure that we're moving forward properly.
Thank you. Councillor Perry.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, in support of the resolution, I think we're seeing more and more almost consolidation-itis, if you will, these days. Bigger isn't necessarily better, in my view. And we see more and more retrenchment taking away of local powers from us here at the municipal level to make our own decisions closest to the ground for where our local residents are, with their ears and eyes and of the land and water and where they live. The point was made earlier in the deputation, watersheds and natural resources and the land don't follow arbitrarily drawn or mapped boundaries of regions. And I was a little coy with the deputant around, what the motivation is when there don't seem to be any upside to doing this, at least on the surface. We're simply seeing more and more cutbacks of environmental protections for the profits of businesses. We have to remember Bill 23. Remember when that came through our first or second year at this council table, removed conservation authorities' ability to block developments that threatened rivers and wetlands and floodplains. And so, it doesn't really serve watersheds or communities or future generations, and that's why I'm pleased to support the motion as printed.
Thank you. Councillor Warren, you want to sum up?
No, I think it's all been said, but I have a question for you, Mr. Mayor, if I may. If after the vote, if we could move up 13.1.1, because I do have to leave soon. I'm going to miss my train.
Okay, let's do this first.
Okay, thank you.
We have a mover and seconder. All in favor? Well, and that's passed. Thank you. Does anybody have an issue if we do the consent agenda before we do the Planning Advisory Committee? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. So we'll move to item 13, and
Point one.
Deputy Mayor McDonald, you have you have that.
Yes, I do. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Richardson, that all the proposed solutions shown in 13.1 of the agenda be approved and adopted by council in order that they appear in the agenda, sequentially numbered, saved energy, except for 13.1.1, 13.1.2, 13.1.3, 13.14, 13.1.16, 13.117, and 13.1.19. Hopefully that's all.
13.17 is not necessary anymore.
No, I didn't say 7. I don't think.
If I could, Mayor, neither is 13.1.9.
Yeah.
And 0.9. Yep, that's okay. I didn't say either one of those. So, yep.
Okay. And we have a mover and seconder. All in favor? And that's passed. The first extraction, 1311, proposed act of transportation. That's you, Councillor Warren.
Yes, thank you very much for facilitating this. So I'm going to move that active transportation, a active transportation committee be established, and that the proposed terms of reference for an active transportation advisory committee of council as outlined in Appendix A to report CAO 2025-008 be approved, and that staff be directed to initiate advertising to call for volunteers to serve on this newly formed advisory committee for the remainder of this term of council. Thank you.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Doble. You want to speak to it some more?
This has been brought up a couple times at least over the last year or so. And I just think that it would be a good idea to have this advisory committee. The Environmental Advisory Committee did have a subcommittee of active transportation, but once the plan was done, then we were hoping that there would be a committee to oversee some of the initiatives in that plan. So I'm hoping that you will support this.
Councillor Doble, do you wish to speak to it?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I support the motion and I support the idea of having a committee. I think that it sends a message to not just to staff, but to our community that we're serious about this. We have an active transportation master plan. Active transportation is an essential ingredient or aspect of our overall strategic plan. It's important that we understand it. We're not just paying lip service to it. Active transportation is not and should not be just aspirational. And certainly in Ward 5, given the new development that is anticipated in the next 10 years, this is an opportunity for us to take active transportation seriously and implement right off the bat the most efficient way of doing it. Active transportation measures as we develop across our city. So I am very much in favor of having the committee. Quite frankly, I'm interested in being on the committee, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But I am very much in favor of the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Perry.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Doble for attendance and membership on the committee.
You're
out of
maybe
order.
ahead of your...
Out of order? Very well, Mayor. Just speaking in favor of the motion and the report as printed, nothing is more directly impacted by and impacted on our residents than active transportation. And that can take a number of forms, as Councillor Doble just mentioned. I can't think of a better issue where residents should be able to input and to be engaged and provide their information, their lived experience, their eyes and ears, being out there in various capacities on the ground, literally, every day. I also note that, to me, this is also has a color of democracy to it. We need more places for residents to engage in the public space and to engage in municipal politics, not less. And so I'm really in favor of the creation of this committee to provide those access points for people to become more engaged and also participate more and learn about the process and perhaps go on to do other things in terms of leadership and involvement here in our city. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Joyce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question's to Councillor Warren. In your recital there, did you make any changes in what's proposed here as printed? And if so, what were those changes?
No, I didn't. No, I just, there was a A or B sort of thing, or there are two parts to it. There was another choice. So I chose what was in the report. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you. Hey, listen, I think engagement and ongoing dialogue with our stakeholders is very important as we move projects forward. But I'd be remiss not to point out the fact that we are taking active transportation very seriously. We adopted the ATMP last year in 2024. We have active transportation that's being added into our municipal infrastructure. We just had in planning there last week, Manager Timms provided the registered subdivision status, and active transportation was a key component of that. We have the wayfinding sign strategy, which is about active transportation as well. And this, past March, we did adopt the transportation master plan. So there is ongoing internal management when it comes to active transportation. I know that we have serious dialogue with our stakeholders. So I just wanted to say, yeah, we are taking this seriously, and this is just another step towards that.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have no problem with that. Again, just to say that we do have, every time we have something going on, we always have public engagement that everybody can come. So we always have that. My question is what would their role be? Like, would there be a policy procedures and all this set up for that? What would their role be? I don't understand what their role would be.
I think
So
the terms of reference is attached as to what they would do. So I think it's fairly well defined in the terms of reference.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to weigh in. I think that active transportation, we've been working on it. It goes back to when Chris Marshall was Director of Development Services. So it's been a good 4 or more years. The Environmental Committee, with their subcommittee, had a committee that was looking at active transportation. What I'm concerned about with the new committee is that we're going to reinvent the wheel, that they're going to go back because there are things that have already been put in place for active transportation. And a new committee going back and saying, oh no, we shouldn't have done that, or we should. I think that we risk paralysis by analysis if we strike a new committee. In the report, it talks about a stakeholder focus group that would meet yearly. It also talks about the regular council updates on where active transportation is. And I think that we are going down a road where we don't need to go. We need to let staff get on with the job. We are taking care of those who are worried about the democratic process by having a stakeholder focus group. And I think that, at some point, we are elected officials and we are elected to speak for the residents, but we still give them, the residents, an opportunity to weigh in on this, and there are all kinds of opportunities for them. They can do it on our jump-in platform. They can do it by engaging with their local councillor. They can do it by coming and making deputations to council if there are things that they feel that are needed. So I do not see the need for another committee and a councillor to sit on that committee as well. So I am not in favor of going forward with the committee. I think that the stakeholder focus group would cover it. Just my opinion.
But can I sum up?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I totally disagree. I mean, it's a sort of democratic piece. Also, 2 motions were made and passed at council. And we're just actually moving forward from those motions that were made. We have a plan. I've been party to plans like the sustainability plan that I helped launch that just sat on a shelf. I understand staff want to do things and through engineering. These are all, people who are engaged in active transportation are smart people. They know that they're not going to get involved in engineering and whatever. They just want to make sure that the active transportation plan moves forward and it just doesn't sit on a shelf collecting dust. There are many positive things having advisory groups. We don't have that many. I mean, we're not even allowed these days to have part of, like, the Environmental Advisory Committee had an active transportation subcommittee. Well, you can't have subcommittees. So I think this is prudent to move forward with a committee like this. I believe the group that staff reached out to would like to have this kind of committee than a stakeholder committee. So that's also in the report. So I hope you'll support this and so we can be a little bit more democratic. Thank you.
Councillor Joyce, you didn't speak, but that was sum up, so I'm sorry. All in favor of the motion? And that passes.
Thank you very much. See you later. Thank you, everybody, for facilitating me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Let's take a break till 3:20. Thank you. I'll call the meeting back to order. We need to extract 13.1.2 because Councillor Richardson has declared a conflict on that. So once she clears the chamber, I need a mover and seconder for that as printed. Deputy Mayor McDonald, Councillor Joyce. Anybody want to talk to it? Okay, all in favor? And that's passed. Councillor Richardson? Deputy Mayor McDonald, you have 13.1.3 as your extraction. Councillor Ashmore, you have it as well. I'll get to you after.
Yes, through you. Yeah, listening to both deputations and so on, there's a little bit that is unknown with the widening of the road, the entrances and so on. So I do have a little bit of a resolution. If somebody wants to second it, then they can talk about it, but I do have a resolution. But there's a lot of unanswered questions, but I really think that that if the parties all can negotiate and make this happen, I think they could all can agree to something. But anyway, I do have, do I read the resolution now? That this matter be deferred back to staff pending receipt of the further information that we got today from staff and work with all three parties to negotiate an agreement that will serve everyone. And I really think that between the three departments, or three groups, they can resolve this.
And receive the report.
And receive the report,
Right.
yes.
Is there a seconder to that? Councillor Richardson. You want to talk to it some more?
No, I think the deputation has kind of pointed out things. There's three individuals that are involved here, and I really think that looking at the option number 6, let's look at that and see if we can make an agreement between the three of them.
When do you want this to come back?
Q1, is that Q1 to be okay?
Should be okay.
Okay,
I
thanks.
think. Seconder wish to speak to it?
Yes, actually, I would. We had two deputations regarding. There is some unknowns when it comes to the applicant. Currently, it is zoned residential, and the plan really does depend on rezoning and site plan approval. There was a case made by the first deputant, which physically made a lot of sense based on the elevation of the application. I just think at this time that we should send it back, because I think when you look at Appendix D in this report, plus the option number 6, I think is the best outcome for all three.
Thank you. Director.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. So I just want to point council to Appendix E of the report. So Appendix E is a proposed solution. It's labeled Appendix E Draft Plan. So if I can share my screen, I might be able to pull it up. I would need the clerk to enable me to share my screen, if that's permitted.
No.
No. Fair enough. So if council pulls up Appendix E, it shows Regent Street and then the section of Regent Street between what is the open section of Regent Street to Angeline Street. So as per the Realty Services report, Part 1 is the most easterly section of the unopened section of Regent Street, which is basically a box that is 8 meters in depth. Part 1 is for the road widening. And then I'm going to skip to part 4 and 5. So part 4 and 5 are proposed to go to the church. The reason why we have part 5 is because there's a hydro pole there. So part 5 is still going to the church, just it's subject to an easement for hydro. And then parts 3 and 4 are what we're discussing. So typically when an unopened right-of-way is sold, you split it in half along the frontage, and one portion goes to property A and one property goes to property B. So that's what we're proposing here. Parts 2 going to the dealership, and parts 3 going to the property on the south. A divide east-west. But either way, part 1 would be protected for a road widening, and that's why you see an 8-meter depth. So in accordance with our transportation master plan, Angeline is a major thoroughfare, which currently it is a 20-meter right-of-way. It varies at different locations, but in this location, it's around 20 meters. So we would need ultimately the maximum size of right-of-way for Angeline Street, and this is not anytime soon, this is like 100 years from now, would be 36 meters. So we're shy 16 meters, so that's why we're protecting for 8 meters on the east side and eventually 8 meters on the west side. And that's how we get the 36 meters. So that's the rationale why we're asking to keep 8 meters depth of part 1, but it runs the whole northwest section of Regent Street. So the other options I can't speak to, but Appendix E was staff's recommendation. So how you split up parts 2, 3, 4, and 5, great. Other than part 5, there is hydro on. But part 1 is solely for road widening.
I think that's recognized. Okay. Where was I? Councillor Joyce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And actually, in reference to Director Rojas there and that planning was showing there, I agree. In most cases, we want clean lines, and that's how we divide properties when both parties on either side want to buy it. It's a 50-50 divide with clean lines. But occasionally, topography makes an impact on decision making. We have roads that go around lakes. We don't build bridges in all cases, or around rock outcroppings all the time. We like straight roads, but we have to go around obstacles now and then. And in my opinion, this is another a very similar case where topography has to be recognized, where that normal 50% down the middle divide doesn't work and has to be recognized. And that's just my comments, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you. Through you to Director Engineering. So option 6 was the preferred option that we've been talking about, and we're leaning towards that. Just wondering why would we not? Do you feel that we can't do that now? Make that decision now of the option 6. We've got two businesses here, a well-attended church. They want to get on with things, and we can make the decision now. What benefit would there be to delay it another 3 months?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this is where there's a bit of disconnect. So if you look at report RS 2025-043, in the appendices, there isn't an option 6. Option 6 was a previous iteration that happened several years ago that I don't believe was recommended, and it went nowhere. So then it came back to council in this iteration, and Appendix E is a configuration that we're recommending. So I don't think, I recognize there was a previous option 6 and options 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 that I believe have no status currently, and it was never recommended.
Thank you. Councillor Yeo.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to support the referral back to staff because I don't, as Mr. Dugay said, I don't think that the owners, the Canusters have and Keenans have maybe seen this last offer, but I know that the time constraints that they've had, they want to develop this land, and they're basically waiting for this to be finalized. So I'm glad the time frame was brought up, and I'm glad that it's, well, even by the end. I hope it's not the end of the first quarter. I hope they can get this done in the beginning of the first quarter. But I do realize we have to put some drop date on it. So I think I will support it and get it right for them. And hopefully they can settle it within the next few weeks and get back here to a very soon council meeting and get it done so they can all carry on with their development plans. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll get you on sum up. So my particular point is that I think we should send it back, and it will give Mr. Dugay an opportunity to further study the property and maybe come to the conclusion that the topography and the suggested sixth option be the one to take, that it will make it easier for his client in the long run and will achieve some level of agreement between the three parties. So, yeah, I would support that. So do you want to sum up?
Yeah, I just want to sum up is that they sent it back, so let's get it right. There's three people involved. Let's just get it right and make everybody happy. That's all I'm asking for. So let's just send it back. Let's have some conversation and let's get it right. There's three people involved, and I'm pretty sure that we can come up with an agreement with the three people. Thanks.
Thank you. All in favor? And that passes. Councillor Ashmore, did you have something else on that? Or you can bring it up when it comes back in the first quarter?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Doble, can you hear me? You're welcome to come back. We have item 1314. Councillor Perry, is your Roads Task Force recommendations.
Yes, it is, Mayor, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to the Roads Task Force recommendation report to council colleagues here today. Really, I'm only extracting it to be able to have the opportunity to say thank you to all the people who participated in this work. It's been almost a year into our mandate. I'm very pleased to report that the task force is presenting these recommendations in full and on time. I want to thank Director Rojas and Director, help me pronounce your name, Oliver. Pardon me? Vigalius, thank you. I'll try and remember, my apologies, for their expertise and patient input into the process of our Roads Task Force, and also for attending after hours the three public information sessions on roads. As you'll see in the report, we learned very quickly that the members of the general public, which was no surprise, but it's nice to have confirmation, aren't as interested, say, in how roads are selected, how the sausage is made. That's more a council issue, it seems. Of course, they're more interested, very much so, in their specific roads and roads experience. I want to make sure, as chair, to thank Constance Ellison Whereas Constance, I guess she's in her office, for all of the logistical support without which we wouldn't have been able to meet, and she did an excellent job. And also to my fellow councillors who served on the Roads Task Force, Councillors Doble, Councillors Ashmore, and Councillor Warren. And of course, all the members of the public who did provide comment, who attended some of the meetings, our councillors, Councillor Richardson, and also, I'm just mental blanking, Councillor Joyce, who was able to provide some information as well for the report. And it was just, you know, I think a task force that needed to be struck and to provide some clarity, if nothing else. And I'd just like to go through very briefly the recommendations. There aren't many. If you'll note, recommendation 1 is basically a roadmap that we suggest councillors, used as a tool for councillors. I would have liked to have that roadmap say an orientation as a new councillor on how to bring roads that are acting up before the 5-year plan to the attention of staff on behalf of constituents. Because we did find, and one of the main reason that the task force was struck was to address that existing tension between roads that are selected based on engineering, road science, and data, and in the 5-year plan, and those that are acting up in between. And how do those roads get addressed? When we hear from constituents and need to do our job to raise constituents' concerns into the mix, and also given their credibility as folks who drive those roads every day, whereas the city can't. And so we came up with the process, and I'll leave that to the review of fellow councillors, a process, a roadmap that also does include, in extreme circumstances, on an exceptional basis, bringing memos if need be, because we all have roads that may need our fellow councillors' considerations. Recommendation 2 talks about roads where life cycle is past, and there are especially no homes or are connected to gravel roads, pulverizing those roads to increase safety and reduce maintenance time and costs. There was a lot of talk around the provincial minimum standard maintenance standards, which can be seen by the public as a misnomer that we're just doing the bare minimum to get by, which is erroneous. A lot of times the city is going above those standards. Language is important, so we'd like to include that when using the term minimum maintenance standards, that also is included in that is a note that it is the provincial quality standard that's being referenced. We also talked about substituting the term road strategy instead of plan, again, along the lines that language matters. We heard, including from staff, that this may provide a better conceptualization by the public, that there is some room for change. It's not all set up and planned, it's a strategy, and therefore can adapt as need may arise, pursuant to the roadmap of engagement by us as councillors, ranging from, you know, referring all roads to engineering and public works and getting out of the roads game, to what we heard from all our fellow councillors was not desirable, kind of horse trading around the table with $1 million and seeing which road we have that's top of mind. Recommendation 1 sets out what we think is a clear and compelling case for how to balance all of those interests in a more transparent, yes, democratic, and fair way to residents. We were also looking to have city staff conduct a review of the road policies to ensure that they are, you know, most effective and efficient and timely and responsive to residents and their inquiries, including where deputations and petitions wind up and how they're reported back. And this is a recommendation for that to come to council at the end of Q3 next year. And last but not least, having on-site access, on-site being key to the city's roads database. We know we have that now. That recommendation simply puts it in writing. And so really my extractions were to again, say thank you to all for their participation, to showcase the product that we've come up with at, I must add, no cost to the tax levy or to any reserves by any of the recommendations. And then also to make the resolution a little stronger, rather than this be passed along for review and consideration where practical and feasible, rather instead that it be sent to staff to report back on any progress with implementation by the end of Q2, so the beginning of road season, we're talking June, so of next year, to show how how and where these recommendations that have come from a good place and a lot of work are being taken, or if there are impediments or reasons that progress isn't being made, or the recommendations aren't as perhaps wise as we want to indicate they are today. That's my sum up, Mayor. Thank you very much for your indulgence. And I want to thank you too, Mayor, for striking this committee. Thank you.
Are you modifying the third that?
I am.
That staff be requested to review and consider all recommendations and implement where practical and feasible, and report back to council by the end of quarter two 2026.
I make that humble submission to my fellow councillors. Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for this? Councillor Ashmore? You wish to speak to it, Councillor Ashmore?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, just to thank the committee. When we struck this committee, Chair Councillor Perry and Councillor Warren and Councillor Doble and myself, and I wanted to thank them for doing the time and getting into the issues here. Like, there was got really involved, and I think it was a really good exercise. And as Councillor Perry said, it didn't cost anything other than our time, and our time was certainly well spent in this whole exercise. Certainly wanted to thank REA, Constance Ellison, for the meetings, and Directors Vigelius and Rojas. And every member of council attended at least one of these meetings. And I remember the first meeting we had, we're trying to get this advertised, and we had one person, but actually I was quite impressed with Councillor Joyce's. He had an amazing book of all the roads in his Ward 4, and it's amazing the depth that he went into to explain to that constituent there, and that was great. Even though we had one person, it was still a very informative meeting. Our discussions, and then as time went on, different locations, we got more and more people. So, and then talking about memos and petitions and deputations, those three things are really important, and I think we've reiterated that in the report, that those are really important to the people to submit petitions, especially deputations, and act on those deputations and petitions in a defined timeline. Memos to council, I think, are really important, that members of council can submit those. And also, just to get a better protocol into meeting with staff and going out I went out with the Director of Public Works, and we looked at a few roads, and just to get the communication going. That's all we're asking for, and I think we made that. We made a great strides in getting communication between ourselves, members of council, and supervisors and managers, and of course directors and fellow members of council. So yeah, I just think it was a great experience, and I think a lot of positive things came out of it, and want to thank everybody. I'll leave it at that. So look forward to supporting the recommendations.
Mayor, if I could, just piggybacking on there, the version you see before you, fellow councillors, is also inclusive of consultations on the final draft with the councillors who served on the task force, as well as the Director of Public Works and the Director of Engineering. So those are all taken aboard and considered, and in the draft before you.
Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Thank you, through you. I always agree with committees, that committees do all the work, and I thank you for all the committees that worked hard on this and bring up these suggestions. I have a couple of comments and stuff like that. When you look in recommendation number one, we have to look at every ward, okay? Because there's 8 wards. That means, and everybody has roads and everybody has issues and so on. When we look at these things, we just have to make sure that, my roads might not be as bad as one of your others, and we look at those things and make sure we get the roads that are done, the worst first, and that's how we do that. Bringing memos and petitions, deputations and stuff, yeah, I agree with that. But with that, also costs money, because if we're gonna play this game of memos, petitions, and deputations, I just want to warn everybody that it's gonna cost money, because I don't want to encourage everybody just to do that, because it does cost money. And then also, it says in here that the amendments here for the mayor's budget, I want to point out to you that it did cost about $500,000 extra because we added a few roads. So it did cost money. So next year at budget time, then we should have that long before whoever is on the budget committee, so they can put that in the budget instead of the day of or the day after. Those memos should be put in long before, so the budget committee could discuss that. And then the last one again is, again, just petitions and so on. It does cost money, and every time there is a memo or a deputation, I'm sure that they will bring back the cost of what it would cost for that road to be done, and then we talk about it. So, thank you. Good work.
Thank you. You can do it on sum up, okay? Councillor Joyce?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I want to thank the committee for their work. I know with task forces, it's a lot of time and a lot of work, so thank you very much. I just wanted to, the last bullet point in recommendation number 1, I'm happy to see that when you bring a memoranda in consultation with staff to council about a road that's outside of the 5-year plan, only in extreme circumstances or on an exceptional basis. That's good wording. But we don't have a definition of what extreme circumstances or exceptional basis is. So I just encourage the task force if they can wrap some guardrails around that so it doesn't, not everything is an exceptional basis. Thank you.
Your residents may let you know. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you. And yes, again, thank you for taking this task upon and moving through the system. Just a couple of quick observations. With recommendation number 1, obviously, we have always looked at that matrix of pavement conditions, safety risks, traffic volume, growth impact, and we've put in some parameters here to give council some wiggle room. My concern is always when the impact on the substitutions or the moves up in the 5-year plan, how it affects the plan. And that's what we don't want to ruin, because the plan is something that is through data-driven. We get those collective reports from engineering, they're making those decisions, and it's evidence-based approach currently, and we don't want to take the technical data out of it and just make it all community priorities. So just an observation on my part. On recommendation number 4, really not doing anything other than changing a word. So we're not really changing what we're doing, because a strategy to me is where we are currently sitting. Strategy means it's a guiding tool. And if you move it to a 5-year roads plan becomes more regulatory or binding. As far as I can see, and it's one work, so it really doesn't. Okay, you're right, sorry. Thank you for that clarification. And also just another concern is, which we're already doing, your last recommendation, where it's already happening. So it's not that you're changing what we're doing, because we are already doing it. So what is the purpose of the recommendation?
Thank you. Councillor Perry, you want to sum up?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Very briefly, and thank you for the excellent comments and issues raised by my fellow councillors. The first one would be about memos, and you'll see it's near the bottom of the list, and it certainly was put there intentionally, that there are a number of steps we can go through, and then, if as a last resort almost, if there is something that needs to be brought, of course memos are still in play. When in my intro, when I said that task force didn't cost anything, there were no cost measures specifically being included. That would be for considerations arising from the processes or not at the time of the means in this memo. And I like the point, and duly noted, that those memos, if coming to the Finance Committee, the Budget Committee rather, should come in well advance notice. For Councillor Joyce, I'm glad that he noticed that consultation with staff and the language around an exceptional basis. We played with that language at the drafting stage, and we would say that that was left open on purpose so that that can be deemed at the time and be used by fellow councillors or staff or councillors ourselves to decide, well, wait a minute, you're bringing a memo, but the recommendations have been it's only exceptional. And we may not feel at the time it's exceptional. So really it's a tool or a guideline that we can invoke for guidance and, for accountability rather than having to, decide what's exceptional up front. Last but not least, absolutely right, Councillor, future Deputy Mayor Richardson. A lot of our report was simply to lay out things that are existing in one place, one source document, a roadmap, if you will. And while the database certainly is accessible, one thing that we wanted to make sure was that we provided in writing that it was on site, not to be sent around to different councillors because of the fact that it is a growing document day by day, if not week to week, and we wouldn't want to be acting on information that was not most current, and that is remedied by ensuring that we have access on site, and that is a recommendation that's in writing in this report that we can point to as needed. And with that, I commend to you the Roads Task Force report and recommendations.
Thank you, and I do want to echo the thanks to the task force for their work and their final report and documenting, as has been pointed out in many cases, what is already happening, but putting it in one spot where it can be readily available to anybody who needs it. So once again, thanks to the committee for their work. And we have a mover and seconder, so all in favor. And that passes as amended.
Thank you, Mayor. I must admit, as chair, I wasn't totally sure where this task force was going to go or wind up, but I'm pretty confident we at least provided something helpful on that crucial issue of roads that we all experience across our wards. So again, thanks to all.
Thank you. Next extraction is 1316. Councillor Joyce, that's yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. I just had one amendment. Schedule B, business licensing for short-term rental accommodations. When the short-term rental task force was struck when we created these original fees, the intent was that year-round fees would always be double that of part-time fees. And for a reason, it's basically 6 months versus 12 months part-time and year-round short-term rentals. I think if we start to drift away from that, it could lead to perceptions of unfairness. So I'd just like to make a small amendment that hosted year-round be raised from $350 to $400, and unhosted year-round go from $1,700 to $1,750 to keep in lockstep of that original intent, otherwise as printed.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Ashmore. Do you want to speak to it? Okay. Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Yeah, through you. Yeah, thanks for that. I seen that. My question is with this is that in the future, going up right now, I don't even know if I really agree with it going up because it's self-sustaining right now. So why are we putting things up when it's self-sustaining and it's not costing taxpayers anything, it's not costing anybody anything? But I'd like to see in the future a separate budget for short-term rentals, money in, money out balance, so they can show us that the reason why we're putting it up because we need it to run the program. You know, we just got a $450,000 grant. We're still waiting for many residents that haven't signed up yet, which is also going to bring in a lot of income. But you know, before things go up, and I don't have a problem with Councilor Joyce and this little small thing, but I just would like in the future that we have to have reasons why we're putting it up, and I didn't see any reasons. So, and based on that, I'm pretty close to the short-term rental for the last couple of years. I'm well versed with it. So, just in the future for for anybody to do that so we can make some better decisions on that. Thank you.
Manager Sloan, are you online? There you are. Have you been listening to the discussion, and would you care to comment?
Yes, I have, Mr. Mayor. Sure, I can just make a brief comment if it's helpful. I have had some discussions around this issue, and just reflecting on the 2026 budget and some of the needs that have been communicated down to staff. Yeah, I agree. There's zero reliance on the taxpayer. The program currently is self-supporting. I am also planning out to the future. So basically, the way the grant funding works is it's about $150,000 per year. It's supporting 2 staff members at this point. Going forward, there's still going to be the necessity of those staff members in the program, and so we can't predict if the grant funding is going to be long-term grant that we can leverage to our use, and so hopefully that's provides some clarity here.
Okay, thank you. Are you fine? Is council fine, or? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Director Bogaboom, did you want to say anything about the money? Okay. So we have a mover and seconder. Did you want to sum up?
I know it's a small thing, but it was just the original intent of the task force, and as years go by, it could drift away from that. That's all. Thank you.
So if I get it, the motion is as printed, with just a minor adjustment to the costing on the short-term rental.
That is correct.
Okay.
Just confirm the amounts again.
Do you want to confirm the amounts?
Sure. I'm recommending that hosted year-round go up to $400, and unhosted year-round go up by $50 to $1,750.
Okay. All in favor? And that's passed. Councillor Ashmore, you seconded. I assume you're in favor. Yeah. I didn't see your hand. Thank you. Next item is 13-117, Development Charges Calculation and Payment Agreements. Councillor Richardson, you had that.
I did, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I felt it was due diligent to extract this just based on the fact that we have just approved our updated DC charges. And this is a report that shows that we have proactively worked with some of our local partners. There's 6 agreements that are being proposed today. We've worked through the performa. These are construction-ready developments. And to me, it's a good news story because, we've implemented them and we've worked with our partners, and I've heard from some developers that are also pleased with the way we move through this process to get them across the finish line before the year end. So it was more of a heads up, hey, we've done a good job working with our partners.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ashmore also extracted this, so I'll let him weigh in on it before we come back for a motion.
Just a question through you to Director Bogaboom, Dr. Fallon, I think he's here, but just looking at the list, I've had a few developers, smaller developers that have been going on for many years, and has everybody been notified that they have to get in their individual subdivision agreement, or if they don't, then that's, I guess they're out of luck, or if they do get in, then is there a freeze? There's still the freeze for 2 years on the fees?
Who's your question to?
Director Boudoir, or anybody who can answer.
I think Ms. Barry may be the best person to, or the CAO.
Start with one because it's
Okay.
engineering.
Well, maybe engineering's the best person to tell you.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. So first I want to distinguish between site plans and subdivisions, because developers do both, right? So the Act has a built-in process for site plans. So whether you call it a freeze or a locked-in rate, that is already embedded within the Act for site plans. So it depends on when your application is submitted and deemed approved, and when your site plan agreement is executed, there's a freeze for up to 18 months after approval, as long as you get your application in. So that's the good news. There isn't that same mechanism for subdivisions. The Act just says the municipality could enter into an agreement. That's why we brought these applications forward for subdivisions. And it sort of mirrors the site plan timeframe. That's how we came up with the 2 years, or 2 years less a month, for the applicant to enter into, to pay their DCs, right? So we mirrored both projects. Now, having said that, we put the information on our website, the DC rate, the DC bylaw, the fact that it was going up. We had several public meetings. So it gave, we had the Home Builders Association and developers representation on the DC task force. So that was a mechanism where any interested developer could, and if they were developing a subdivision, could contact the city to enter into a DC payment agreement for subdivisions. Also, we had correspondence and deputation to council during the DC process. So that's how we captured the 6. So if the 6 that are in your report today. So any developers of subdivision would have had that public process and inquiry. So whoever inquired, we then went forth with this agreement that you see forth today. And they had to be further along, right? They had to be draft plan approved, they had to have detailed design, they have to be development ready, in a position to develop within the next 2 years and register their M plan within 1 year. So those are sort of the metrics we had. We heard from 6 of them, and then we brought the 6 forward to you for council for deliberation and hopefully execution once approved.
Thank you for that. It's just, hopefully that they'll come to the table and they'll make sure they get their application in, because I know of 2 in Omemee, 1 in Downeyville, Snug Harbor, South Bobcaygeon, that are well within, they're ready to go. And hopefully they'll be able to get their applications in so they don't be left out.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Thank you, through you. I just wanted to make a comment on DC charges because we've talked about this and already passed it. But just for the point that for the next 10 years, that was going to cost $1.2 billion. Can you imagine $1.2 billion sent to the taxpayers and all the user groups? I certainly wouldn't want to be a council sitting in this room when if that ever happened. So just to say, good job on the DC charges. That's going to help taxpayers and keep the taxes down. Thanks.
Councillor Richardson, did you want to make a motion?
I would like to move it as printed so we can move forward.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Yeo. Do you want to speak to it, Councillor Yeo?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Did you want to sum up?
No, I think we've chatted about it quickly. It's a good news story. You know, we've got our most eligible required locked-in housing and shovel-ready, so let's give them the green light.
Thank you. CAO would like to say something.
Sir, if I could, through you, Mr. Mayor, and really just because the opportunity is here, really want to commend all the departments. I mean, this literally was an undertaking that came together in weeks with changing legislation, and you've got a really good, consistent, I think, product in front of you, and it is really advancing our housing pledge targets and supporting those developers that are in the queue and that they are going to be breaking ground in those periods of time that are promised in the agreement. The one director mentioned that site plans were not for discussion today and weren't subject to the same structure, but concurrent with this work, we've been in touch with more than a dozen active site plans, and a lot of work's been done on that front to really transition this DC bylaw that you approved recently in a very positive, proactive, and supportive way. So I just want to commend everybody in the background that was done and really getting it done in quite short order. It's quite amazing. I haven't witnessed this type of sort of transition in a very short period of time. So congratulations, and I think you're going to see that it's going to be very well received from the broader development community as a result of it.
Thank you. So we have a mover and seconder as printed. All in favor? And that's passed. Last extraction is 13-119, and it's you, Councillor Ashmore, on street sweeping.
Hey, I'm fine with that. I'll move as printed. I just wanted to thank the Manager Porter for putting this together. And street sweeping is actually one of the most important issues that people bring up, and you know, not to mention the dust, the sand, metal fragments, everything that could be on a road. Your roads need to be clean, and they do a great job, like whether we do it through the contractors or through the city. I know I've had, you know, people ask about, we put too much on, we don't put enough on, but there's always a sweet spot, as they say, you have to get in this type of maintenance. But I think it's one of the most important things that we actually do as a city, is street sweeping, and people really appreciate it when it's done, pay for it. But I'll move it as printed, so we're good.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Doble. You wish to speak to it, Councillor Doble? Okay. So no sweeping changes there. All in favor? Yeah, you take them where you get them, eh? We'll go back to the Planning Committee where we were so interrupted. So I need a motion that the minutes of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of December 3rd, 2025 be received, and the recommendations included in section 11.3 of the agenda be adopted. Councillor Richardson, Deputy Mayor McDonald, all in favor? And that's passed. Moving on. Bylaws. We don't have any petitions today. Surprise. Item 15 is bylaws. Councillor Perry, I believe you have bylaws. And you're going to have
yes,
to.
I do, Mayor.
You have to extract the fees bylaw, which is number. Hang on.
I'm waiting.
We'll get that for you.
Thanks, Danny. Sorry.
Which one?
1-4.
15.114. That's what I said.
15.1.4?
No, 15.1.14. 14.
Gotcha, I think. So, Mayor, if I
No,
could-
it's not.
Oh.
Don't do that.
I was winding up there.
15.1.4.
So 14.14.1.
15.
I'm kidding. I've got it. Okay, we're good. All right, moving on. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Joyce that the bylaws shown in section 15.1 of the agenda, namely items 15.1.1 and 2 and including 15.1.29, with the exception of bylaw 15.1.14, be read first, second, and third time. Passed. No, I did not. Serves me right. What is it? 15.1.4. All right. Except for bylaw 15.1.4. Be ready first, second, and third time. Passed, numbered, signed, and the corporate seal attached.
Any questions, comments, changes? All in favor? And that's passed. So we have to do this. There are three separate motions. First motion, that bylaw to amend bylaw 2018-234, being a bylaw to establish and require payment of fees for information, services, activities, and use of city property in the city of Kawartha Lakes, known as the Consolidated Fees Bylaw, be read a first and second time. I have a mover and seconder. Councillor Joyce, Deputy Mayor McDonald. All in favor? And that passes. The second motion is that the rate effective January 1st, 2026 for hosted year-round short-term rental accommodations be amended to $400, and the rate effective January 1st, 2026 for unhosted year-round short-term rental accommodation be amended to $750 within Schedule B to the bylaw to amend bylaw 2018-234, being a bylaw to establish and require payment of fees for information, services, activities, and use of city property in the city of Kawartha Lakes.
1750.
$17.50. Mover and seconder, Councillor Joyce, Councillor Richardson. All in favor? And that's passed. The last motion, that the bylaw to amend bylaw 2018-234, being a bylaw to establish and require payment of fees for information services, activities, and use of city property in the city of Kawartha Lakes, known as the Consolidated Fees Bylaw, as amended, be read a third final time, passed, numbered, signed, and corporate seal attached. Councillor Joyce, Councillor Doble, all in favor? And that's passed. Thank you. I get a mover and seconder that the closed session agenda be adopted as circulated. Councillor Ashmore, Councillor Richardson. All in favor? And that's carried. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest in closed session items? Seeing none, at this point of the meeting, City Council will go into closed session to consider the items under Section 17.3 of the agenda. As per our procedural bylaw requirements, I'm asking all electronic participants in our meeting today to confirm to me by raising their hands that they are in a private room where no other person can overhear the deliberations and the internet connection is secure and not publicly accessible. Well, there, I got two hands up. You're under arrest. Thank you. Can I get a mover and seconder for the following motion? That council convene into closed session at 4:14 p.m. pursuant to Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act in order to consider matters identified in Section 17.3 of the regular council meeting agenda of Tuesday, December 9th, 2025, namely item 17.3.1 to and including 17.3.5. Mover. Councillor Richardson, Councillor Joyce, all in favor? And that's passed. At this point, the meeting broadcast will now end for members of the public watching on Cogeco, your TV cable. The live stream of the meeting on YouTube and the broadcast will now be temporarily paused for members of the public. When closed session is complete, the live stream and rebroadcast of the meeting will resume to address the remaining open session items on the agenda. All remaining staff, with the exception of those involved within closed session, are now asked to leave the electronic meeting and council chambers at this time. Okay. All right, we're back. Madam Clerk, items from closed session.
There we go. Through the mayor, matters from closed session. Item 17.3.1, the confidential closed session minutes for the regular council meeting of October 21st, 2025 were approved. Item 17.3.2, council provides staff with direction respecting the potential acquisition of assets from the A. Sheila Boyd Foundation. Item 17.3.3, the staff provided council with information regarding a proposed acquisition of land to acquire title to a portion of traveled road encroaching on private property. Council provided direction to staff. A motion is required for item 17.3.4, that the appointment of the following public members to the Environmental Advisory Committee be approved as full members for a term ending November 14, 2026. Robert Stavinga and Peter Petrosoniak.
Motion is required.
Yeah.
Councillor Barry. Councillor Ashmore. All in favor? And that's passed.
Item 17.3.5, council provided direction on the 2025 Osprey Heritage Awards program. That is all the matters from closed session.
Thank you. Councillor Doble, you have the confirmation bylaw.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Richardson, that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of a regular council meeting held Tuesday, December 9, 2025 be read a first, second, and third time, passed, numbered, signed, and the corporate seal attached.
Councillor Richardson is no longer here.
Councillor Richardson isn't here, so you'll get Councillor Ashmore to sign. Just stroke out her name and sign, please.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor? And that passes.
Good.
Motion to adjourn. Councillor Yeo and Councillor Joyce. Have a great holiday season, everyone, if I don't see you.
Merry Christmas.